And away we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Big Freakin Fridays on the College Football Mafia Network. I'm your host, Nathan Bomber Brown. With me are my co-hosts and partners in crime. That would be Rock and Rant and Moen. How are we doing tonight?
Excellent.
Happy 4th of July, day after. Well, I hope everybody was safe. There was fireworks shooting into people here in Provo last night. That was a joke.
Saw that.
What was going on there, man? I saw
don't know.
a couple of those posts,
So it's an annual thing. It's always done, unless it's on a Sunday. It's done in Cougar Stadium, and they usually get right around, I don't know, on 40,000, 50,000 people watching live. And from everything I remember when we went and watched it, the fireworks were behind the stands. The ones last night, if you ever see one of those things come across on Twitter, can actually see where they flip over, and now they're facing down because they were on inside of the stands. So I don't know why. I think maybe they do it that way so they keep the fireworks low, for the people who paid for the show. But regardless, anywhere from 10 to 15 people got hurt. There were a couple that were actually severely burned. So all prayers to them. I really feel bad about that. And I'm big about holding people accountable. If you have an event like that, you have to keep people safe. They have kids there, older people are there. And there was this one cheerperson that actually got hit right on top of the head. And instead of running away, just took a step forward and jumped right back into the routine. It was really impressive.
Was that the one I saw the most frequently replayed was the band, the guy in the.
There was a guy in the band, and then there was a girl down on there was a girl with the pom-poms down on the field. Anyway, doesn't matter. Pray for them, and hopefully they'll heal quickly and it doesn't stick around. We appreciate everybody for being here tonight. Make sure you follow all of us on Twitter. Also follow the Wild Ute. We want to make sure he's on vacation, so I don't think we're going to see him tonight. But it's really important that everybody knows that that's where you can find us on Twitter. And then on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Everybody turn on your notifications so you know when we tweet updates to our shows, or then when all those notifications come in for the shows that we do on YouTube. Moen, why don't you tell everybody how to become members?
Sure. If you want to become a member in the chat, you can go down to the little cash icon. Select that cash icon, and you can go from there to become a member. You also have the option to gift memberships, obviously, if you want to feeling generous. Also, if you're watching on a web browser, you can just go right down to where it says subscribe. Right next to it is a button that says join, and you can join from there and become a member of the College Football Mafia family.
We really, really appreciate it. All those people that have joined recently. Our membership continues to grow. And outside of that, we also have Wild Ute University. We have a bunch of videos, and I'll bring that up later. I'll bring up the website so you guys can see where they are on our YouTube page. The Wild Ute University videos, if you join for anything else, we have member shows now, member-only shows we're doing live. And then we're also doing all the Wild Ute, Moen Rants, Timeline, Coos Corner. We've got like 4 or 5 different versions of shows. Rock, we need to get you to do a show.
We will figure one out, I am sure.
I'm looking forward to that.
Maybe I want to do one where everyone has to call in live. I want to be the one that we figure that out at some night late when people are drunk. I want to break that fourth wall that I know you've tried to do. You've tried to do. So maybe we have to wait till people are a little bit more. I don't know. Not getting ready for happy hour, but post happy hour on Saturday night or something.
I think my problem is I don't have it hooked to my Google Voice, and I need somebody to help me with the engineering. Moen gave me all the pages. I read through them, and nothing sunk in. I couldn't pull it off. So we just need to do that eventually. And anyways, we'll get to that later. Right out the gate, we got 2 super chats from Ryan Willie. Hey, Moen, why don't you read this one?
Let me finish pouring my drink first.
Oh, okay. All right. There is a drinking game. Just so everybody knows, we have a drinking game. Right now, if you hear Georgia Tech or Syracuse, take a sip. Please drink responsibly.
Or it's Friday. You can just drink anyway.
If you want to. That's true. All right. Let me go back here. So let me get up. Right now, we got this comment from Ryan Willie. Actually, 2 of them.
Yeah. Hi, CFM. I'll give some advice that I gave Greg at PATC. Please don't repeat the same point over and over in your same monologue or rant. You'll lose me because I'm thinking that you just like hearing yourself talk. Don't worry, I hate hearing myself talk. I hate.
Yeah, I don't enjoy that either. Rock, are you good at that?
It took you guys 3 months to get me to come on the show.
I know you're not exactly a glory hound either. I think you're going to be okay here, Ryan, but we really appreciate you being a member and a valuable part of the OG group that is College Football Mafia Network. The second one we got from Ryan for $2 is Greg failed to take my advice. I left PATC. Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody's a little different. Obviously, he's a friend of our show. We do run different shows, though. And yeah, anyways, no reason to dwell on that at all. Before we jump into any headlines, let's do some shout outs here at the beginning. So right out the gate, we got Ryan was first. Hi, CFM. Good to have you here, Ryan, again. Friends call me Sean. Another member says FSU to the Big, then Clemson, UNC to the SEC. Eventually, Miami joins the Big. Once UVA gets loose from Virginia Tech, SEC adds them, and Kansas. Big doesn't go past that 20 until Notre Dame joins near the end of the NBC contract, which I don't know how long is the NBC contract.
I believe 2030 is the year that it expires.
Around the same time everything else. Okay. All right. What do you guys think about those picks from Sawyer?
Well, I think we should save that if we're going to do If Then a little later.
Okay. Yeah,
we should save that. Yeah, we're going to play a new game, guys, called If Then. And it's going to see how dominoes fall. And then you guys can play along, too, in chat. So
that's what we're going to do in chat. We're also going to run some short polls, and we'll try to get through as many of the ideas as we can come up with. I'm going to put a panel show together with some people that are actually contributors that are going to come in. It's going to be more long form. But for Friday nights, If Then, we're going to ask a question, do a quick poll, and move down the line. And we really want you guys to be involved in that. Timothy Green. Good to see you, Timothy. Also a member, says, let's get ready for another great show. Thank you, Timothy. We appreciate you being here. David Hackett, happy 4th of July weekend, guys. Hello, everyone. David's also a member. Let me see here. Clint Moses, one of our Oregon State guys. Good to have you here, Clint. And Clint's also a member. Says, I'm late. What did I miss? You haven't missed anything. We're just getting started, Clint. And yeah, buckle up. Jim F says Elton Moen is still standing. Yeah. Is that who you are tonight? Is Elton?
I am Moen.
Okay.
All right. Elton John took his look from me in the 70s.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah. I'm actually like 105 years old, guys. It just the alcohol preserves me.
That's true.
I mean, he looks a little like Elton, but he's basically the logo right now.
He is. By the way, that was a dope logo. Will you chase that up? I want to share that with everybody, that logo you come up with yesterday.
Oh, the American one?
Yeah, the American one. I could find it, but it'll take me a minute to find it. Daniel Gygax says hi. He's also a member. Thank you so much for being here, Daniel. He also follows that up by saying Moen looking like Elton John. So we got all kinds of people saying Elton John. Mr. Ed Weiner, another member. I love all these members' comments. Hi, everyone from Huatulco. I can't say it's Mexican. Did one of you guys speak Spanish? Huatulco? Huatulco, Mexico. Highly recommend for a vacation, especially if you want a small beach resort within big crowds. Are there any violent gangs there? I've sworn off of Mexico because of all the crime. But if you can, you attest, Ed, that it's safe, I'll consider it. Cleveland Rocks, another member, says, God, is that a, he didn't finish that, so I'll just go with that. Sky, another member, says, thank goodness it's Friday. Glad to have you here, Sky. He says, good evening, all. Okay, that helps me follow up then. Bob Swanger says, good evening, College Football Mafia. Sam 8911SK, that's one of the better names, I think. Good to have you here, Sam. There it is. Yeah. That picture is absolutely dope.
Thank you.
If you ask Moen for it, he'll send you a copy.
You just go in there and save it. There's no.
It's right on our college. I guess you could retweet it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. Michael DeWolf says, thanks for coming on earlier. You bet. We're trying to get as many people as we can earlier in the show than later. Let's see here. Brett Taylor, I think new to the family. Brett Taylor, appreciate you being here, Brett. FSU AD Alford and Clemson AD Neff are singing from the same songbook, singing different stanzas, but the refrain is, we're leaving the ACC and leaving soon. Okay, let's just address this directly right now. Do you guys think both those schools, in one way, shape, or form, actually leave the ACC before football season starts?
Before football season starts, no.
Not actually playing in a different league, but just declaring you're leaving the ACC.
I don't think they do it before August 15th.
But it could be after August 15th, you're saying.
Right, but I think August 15th is the day that they have to get out before next season.
Without that additional year being counted, I think that's right. Yep. Rock, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, Florida State theoretically could not have to wait till August 15th to still get next year if the judge rules in their case in enough time to make their departure retroactively. I have like a split answer. I don't think Florida State and Clemson are going to declare by August 15th unilaterally. I think that if something happens, it's much bigger than just them, and they're part of it. Like, to piggyback off of the whole Josh Pate innuendo conversation.
Right.
I don't think it's just two of them going orphaned out.
Okay.
But they could go, or it could be a much bigger thing that we find out whether or not Josh is right in terms of before August 15th, before football season, and specifically if his 26 more days of July prognostication holds true.
Right. I'll just say out front, I do think something happens with those two schools before football season. I'm not exactly sure what that would be. I wonder if there's a way, there's a middle ground they can walk without officially leaving the ACC, but announcing that they've got future plans. I don't know what that would look like, but I think just there's too much noise. I'm not going to say where they're going to go. I always thought they would end up in the Big Ten. Now we're seeing some reticence there a little bit. So we'll get to that in a little bit later. That'll be one of our if-then. We will ask a question. If this happens, what do you think happens next? And we'll walk through that. So I hope you guys look forward to that. I think it'll be a pretty fun idea. I came up with it myself, so it must be good. Becky Go Huskies, a member and a contributor on our Big West Mafia Monday. Were you guys, either of you guys on that show on Monday?
I was. I co-hosted it.
And how did it go?
Oh, it's fantastic. I had a good time on it. So,
Becky has come a long way. I think she's doing a great job.
Yeah, she had to get an IV after the show. That's how good it was.
Okay. Well, I hope you're doing better, Becky. That seems that over the top a little bit. Anyways, TGIF, thank you very much for being here, Becky. DF Ost says, FSU and Clemson likely to go big since the entire effort to take down the ACC is to get Notre Dame. Another if-then. We'll hang on to that. We'll talk about that in a little bit later. Anything with Notre Dame, I'm sort of putting off. I don't want to start that yet. Mary Crocker Rowe says everyone has been talked no about FSU since before Christmas. This FSU is tired of it. I can understand why you'd be tired of it. I am seeing some fatigue in Florida State Seminole land. What do you guys think about that?
I'd be annoyed too if I were in their position. You want everything to move fast. Like whenever you know what you want to eventually do, you want eventually to start now.
Yep, that's exactly right. Moen, you want to comment on that?
Like Tom Petty said, waiting is the hardest part.
I don't think Florida State fans are okay quoting Tom Petty, unfortunately, because of the Gators.
And I do have, we're not going to get through all of them tonight. I probably got 40 questions that are if-then that we can have some fun with. We'll try to get through a few tonight, but definitely I'm queuing off of that particular one. In fact, I'm going to mark that one for Mary and see if we can't get back to it a little bit later. Let's see here, a few more, and then we'll start the show. Let's see here, Clay Johansson. Good to have you here, Clay. Says, go Blue. Yeah, Moen doesn't read that one. Go Blue, go. That's a Michigan. And yeah, definitely. We appreciate you being here, Clay. And then Becky says, and this is the key, Becky put my name in the comment, and those are the ones I like to read. You talk about people liking to talk and say things. If there's one trigger for me is I love when people use my name.
Well, Ryan's now triggered himself in a different way.
Well, hopefully not with us. I was so hungover Monday after the 3-day celebration over the weekend here in Seattle last weekend. Way too much drinking. Well, drinking is definitely an alternate. Yeah. Anyway. Almighty Finn, another member, says, "What's up, fellas? FSU, let's see, Juns out of the ACC, jumps. FSU jumps out of the ACC. We will worry about the rest once we're, yeah." So that's kind of what I was saying. Go ahead and leave. You don't have to declare where your destination is. Does that clear up that question a little bit more for you, Moen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but you definitely want to have a landing spot before you, or have some idea of one.
I mean, we've been saying that for months and months and months. I really do believe people are getting tired of it and their patience is wearing thin. Don't rush to judgment, though. Definitely don't do that. Friends Call Me Sean says Tom Petty is born in Gainesville, Florida, left and never came back. Oh,
I never said that he wasn't brilliant.
All right, that's through all of our comments. First of all, so I'm going to ask Rock, kind of tell us what you're thinking this long week, and it was kind of a long week with the holiday, the pre-holiday, now the post-holiday. What is the top of your mind when we're talking about the news that everybody's been talking about? You can say FSU, you could say ESPN, you could say Clemson, or is it something else?
No, I listen, I think it's those two schools and what's going on with them is going to remain at the top of everything in the sort of the news section, right? The slow build of the drama to what will happen next. The fun parts are starting to think about the prognostications of the schools. You know, for me, selfishly, I'm relishing in Miami having a pretty awesome couple of weeks of recruiting, but until signing day, that doesn't really matter. It's just
no, you're right though. They have been good. I've seen those. Yeah, they have been good.
But you know, I think the thing that's top of mind for me is that, you know, people just make really good guesses about what's going on, and some people have sources. But you know, if somebody says something that you like one day, and you give it all the credibility in the world, just to, you know, think twice about dismissing what they say on another day, because things change underneath them, and people telling you the information they have is what they're out there doing. And whether it's Greg or some other reporter, you know, you have to take it all with a grain of salt, but also be willing to hear the good news and the bad news.
Very fair. What about you, Moen? It doesn't have to be realignment. What's your end all be all as we've counting down the rest of this week?
Well, recruitment. There's still some recruits out there that haven't signed yet. Ohio State missed on a 5-star receiver the other day. So
where'd he go?
He went to Oregon.
Oregon has had a banger recruitment week.
Yeah, it's for some reason I think they have a lot of money there. But it was funny. I don't know if anybody else saw it. Pete Thamel announced the kid was going to Oregon an hour before the kid announced it.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
He put it up there. He said DeCarrion Moore is going to Oregon, and it's a big win for the Oregon recruiting team. And then he took it down real quick. And then an hour later, the kid committed to Oregon. So I think Pete Thamel knew ahead of time and scheduled his tweet to go live at the same time the kid was announcing.
And he was later.
He forgot it was Central Time instead of Eastern Time.
I love that. That's fantastic.
So it sucks for the kid, you know. It takes away the moment from the kid. And
No, it was good, because if you watch the actual recruitment video, this kid went on for 35 minutes before he made his selection. He had this huge Q&A, and then he went outside and the feed dropped, and he let off some smoke bombs, and it's just like.
But if he had gone to Ohio State instead and Pete Thamel broke it first, would you feel the same?
Well, I was more like, because the kid said, "Oh, this isn't true" and everything, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe Pete Thamel's wrong. Let me watch the recruitment announcement. And I mean, he started at 9:00. I think it was 9:37 before he actually announced. And I was just like,
brutal.
Announce. I don't care where you're going. Just tell me where you're going.
As the school that Cormani was committed to, and then didn't for weeks, and then went to Colorado. 30 minutes is like nothing but a drop in the water.
And they could change their mind like that.
Yeah,
until
for
they're
sure.
until they're in pads.
Until they're in pads.
Yeah. Cleveland Rocks, another super chat. Thank you so much, Cleveland Rocks. Let's see here, $5 super chat. Moen, dial up a good sounder for him. Just a second. FYI for all Buckeye fans, excuse me, ending any games this fall, the road construction around Columbus is a complete cluster. Ampersand, $, number, and percent. Leave extra early for games. Moen, when did you make any games last year? Was it the same?
Yeah, I only make one game a year. I get an alumni ticket for one game a year. So
okay, all right.
But I will say this: there are 2 seasons in Ohio, winter and construction.
Well, I don't think that's very rare actually right now.
Yeah, it's bad in Columbus, Ohio, though. Yeah, it's every summer into fall they tear up half the roads to replace them, and then next year they tear up the other half.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much, Cleveland Rocks. $5 super chat. Thank you. Now string 3 of those together for Ryan.
Let's see here.
I don't care which ones you pick.
We're gonna play football.
I love that one. All right, I love it. You want one more?
Oh, that is brilliant, sir.
Thank you, Mo, and I appreciate doing that. Yep. And I know for a fact that Ryan appreciates it. So let's see here. Laura Weiss has stepped in the door. Another member. How you doing, Laura? Good to see you. For the people who have just joined, we're here a day after 4th of July. We appreciate you spending some time with us tonight. Laura says, sounds like IH-35 in Texas. That's a highway, I'm assuming, or
it's like isn't it like the loop or something? Or it's definitely a freeway in and around Houston. I've been stuck on it before. I just don't know if it just cuts through or if it's like the loop too. Either way, you're stuck.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Jim F says I-35 sucks. So there you go. And then let's see here. Connor's in the house. Another Oregon State Beaver. Any word on the spectators hurting Provo from the fireworks? They're in the ones that were 3 and 4 degree burns. Sorry, the other way. 2nd and 1st degree burns are in the hospital right now. I think there's 2 or 3 that are in the hospital. Everybody else was treated and released, I believe. It was ugly. It was really bad. And somebody needs to be held accountable. I don't appreciate that at all. Brett Taylor says, Mary, just to be clear, I'm a Knoll. I taught in a JUCO for 30 years. I would tell my students, if you can't go to college, go to Gainesville. Man, we got some fire.
That sounds, look, the Florida State and Miami fans share a lot of similar thoughts about Gainesville.
Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody coming in, and that's what we do here, right? If somebody throws something down, feel free to throw it back. Just stay civil, please. No reason to use big curse words or anything like that. The thing I wanted to talk about, we were talking about things that top of mind. For me, it's SMU stealing 4- and 5-star athletes that were all set to go to Big 12 schools. TCU, Baylor, I don't know if Texas Tech lost one. Oklahoma State lost one. And now with this reset Big 12, you cannot be losing 4- and 5-star athletes to SMU knowing, one, you're in Texas. And that's huge. That goes to PR. And 2, it just makes you look cheap because everybody knows they're not going there maybe for the education, but they're sure not going for the history at SMU. The last 45 years, they've been non-existent. So what do you guys think about that?
Pro tip, if your school loses out to somebody because of NIL, don't complain about it. All you're doing is doing the Streisand effect, which basically means you're calling attention to something that if you just shut up about, no one would know as much about.
That's
it's
exactly
basically
right.
an announcement saying, hey, we don't have the money. Yes, I think that certain times you get to a place where 2 programs are offering similar dollars and relationships count and potential to play early and win. Those still matter. But as Flo has said when he was on with us weeks ago, a guy really knows recruiting well.
He'll be with us again on Wednesday next week.
Money matters, right? So like, don't call attention to the fact when you're losing out on the money.
Completely agree. I hated when years ago when BYU fans used to do that. Now we got an NIL that's actually functioning, so I think that's largely taken care of itself. But during independence, it was brutal.
I'm sure.
To complain about every dollar somebody was getting. It was just, the whole thing with the trucks, and it's just shut up. Don't say anything and just shut up. Moen sitting at the catbird seat, Ohio State. How do you feel about a new kid on the block writing checks and getting names?
I don't think they're going to take anybody we want. So, I mean, at the end of the day, they're still SMU and we're still Ohio State. And
okay,
that's not from a level of arrogance, but I mean,
right.
We've been around for 100 years and we have national championships that are legitimate national championships.
Right. Well, I think that's very fair. I will tell you this. SMU might be taken from the Big 12 right now, but the Big 10 recruits in Texas. The SEC recruits in Texas. You now, over the next 2 years, you start seeing 4 and 5 stars going from a Michigan or an Alabama because they're getting $3-4 million just to play one college year. I think that would be. I don't think that's out of the realm of reason.
It's also not out of the the realm of possibility, depending upon how their deals get structured and what happens with regulations. That today's $3 or $4 million recruit stolen for SMU is next year's Michigan stealing back in the transfer portal, right?
Well, and there is an open question. Are they writing these NIL agreements? And I need to get Danielle back in here to talk on NIL. But are they writing these agreements so that if they leave the school, one, they don't get all the money up front. Two, it's paid out over years. So they announce the total number, but they get much less on a year-to-year basis. And three, they have contracts that can lock them in for any amount of time past 1 year.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether that's getting changed, but I do know for a fact that there are schools paying, getting deals through agents and high school deals to just even do visits or to commit, even if they don't lock in. They might not be the same amount of cash, but the optics play and then hope and pray is kind of that kind of thing, because maybe bring some other people in the meantime. That's happening too. So whether that's 3 or 4 year deals or pay as you go, make sure you play in the playoffs, all those structuring, but there's also things just even happening during the recruiting window, especially in states where high school athletes can be getting NIL, which is starting to spread.
You want to add to that, Moen?
No, I think that was a very good explanation.
So one other little caveat I'd throw in there. We are now seeing trickle down with NIL at college basketball. There's a lot of one and dones that aren't one and done anymore, because they're getting more money and they might have been a second round draft pick or somebody goes to the Euro League or something. Now they're playing in college, doing better, actually having more experience in college than they would sitting in the pine in some Euro League. And two, they're making money and they didn't close off their chances for the NBA. I do not see a reason why that wouldn't also work at the NFL level. Nobody can tell me that, well, right now you can have super sophomores or juniors qualify for the NFL draft. You get there. If you're a 7th round draft pick, you're only making, I don't know, what is the 7th round, like $50,000 signing bonus and maybe $250,000. If you could stay at Michigan for $1 million plus and still be qualified for the NFL the next year, you run the risk of getting hurt. But other than that, look at Cam. I mean, he's cashed many multi-million-dollar checks. Anyway.
Yeah, and you can get the insurance policies too in those situations, though obviously that doesn't take away, doesn't really help you if your dream was to actually play and not get a settlement.
That's true. You're exactly right. Becky Go Huskies gives us another $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Becky. Just one Wild Ute soundbite. $5, Moen, kick it over.
They've been sucking you, and you're sick of it. I get it.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome.
I mean, that could pay for almost a half a month of Spotify subscription, but that's how valuable that soundbite is.
Well, I'm going to put this out here right now. We're only playing the remix once a show.
Okay.
Once a show.
Good. All right.
Because it's overplayed. I don't want to overplay it.
Okay.
Once a show.
Well, the easy way to do that is we could raise the super chat level.
We just make it a request, or we play it at the end of the show to take us out.
Okay. All right. Mark Bowman, I'm going to leave that up to you. Mark Bowman gives us a $10 super chat and also a member, by the way. Bomber, thanks for the interview with John Canzano. It really changed my view of him to the positive. If everybody had a chance to watch that, is that an open yet, or is that still was that a members video? I can't remember.
No. That's out to the general public.
It is.
So anybody can go watch that.
Okay, everybody just Google or just go right to our webpage, right? Your YouTube page. And it's one of the most recent live shows with John Canzano. It was actually an interview premiere. And it wasn't live to audience, but we did run it like it was a live show. And I think John did a fantastic job. And I've been telling you guys for months and months that my opinion of him really changed when I heard his attitude of just absolute being they were taking advantage of, both him and John Wilner. People that were at the old Pac-12 absolutely abused those guys and abused their station. If you're a writer and you work for Sports Illustrated, you have the AD or you have the president of an actual functioning university call you and tell you what they think is going to happen in realignment, say, how can you not take that as rote and write about it? They were in a no-win situation at all. You guys both saw the interview, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And what did you think?
I thought it was great. He didn't shy away from the tough questions, which I think is impressive. He could have easily just said no comment or I don't want to talk about that. But he dove headfirst into it, which is admirable.
Yeah, it really is.
I thought it was a great. I thought you did a great job with the questions for them, and you asked the questions that needed to be. But it comes down. It's very easy for everyone or anyone to specifically criticize media, right? And that they're pushing a narrative. But if they talk to people that they should be talking to get information, and they get told a certain thing, then you're either asking them to guess whether that person's telling the truth or not,
right,
and don't share it, or they're going to put it out there, especially when they hear it a couple of times, and fortunately, I guess John figured it out fairly quickly in a window after not figuring it out, where he was clearly able to hear the talking points being disseminated. So language are being the same, but like all of us here, we hear the same conversations in the same audiences, right? And you start to hear the same vernacular arise in different conversations, and then something changes, right? New information comes, and you report that to the best of the credibility of the person that you think is deserving of sharing that with everyone.
He was so nice too. At the very beginning, he told me there was not a question I shouldn't answer. So he wanted to step up and answer some of those questions. And at the very beginning, I apologized to him because on Twitter, a guy has nothing to lose. I excoriated him and John Wilner. To me, it was crystal clear they were being used, because the moment USC left, I knew Washington and probably Oregon were never going to stay in a rump Pac-12. Never. First thing I said, first or second show, you look it up, go back a year plus. And that's what I said right at the beginning. There's no way Washington and certainly now Oregon were ever going to play in a rump Pac-12. No way. So everything I was hearing after that, sorry, I'll get off it. I feel strongly about that, though, because that was one I got early and not as many people did. Anyway, thank you so much, Marco. We appreciate the super chat. All right.
He gets a sounder.
Yeah, please. Yeah,
let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
Thank you so much. That was really cool and a great question or statement, Mark. A new person to the team. I want to introduce this guy. We need to make 505 Premoto a moderator. If we can do that, Rock.
Okay.
Or maybe it's Moen.
I think Moen will have to, but I'll double check.
Just as an introduction, I got to know Premoto. I'm still not sure what his first name is, but I got to know him on Twitter. Super smart, likes the analytics. He's really going to start helping us with some of the projects that we're doing, data dives, looking at financing, kind of seeing what further realignment steps that maybe are things that we haven't taken, full advantage of in the past. And I really appreciate him joining the team. And he's a FSU fan, just so everybody knows. But he's very, very good, and he's going to be great to have on the show. He says FSU plans on playing in the 24 and 25 season in the ACC, but not beyond. Yep, that's what I said. So we'll have to see. I guess we'll have to find out. Illini Ted steps in the house, says FSU and Clemson versus UNC and UVA is really the tale of who you ask. Most media and football fans want the first two, but presidents and basketball fans would take the latter two. All right, guys, what do you think? I personally would rather have FSU and Clemson in my league.
Yeah, it's a no. I mean, if it's all about football, then it should be FSU and Clemson. And really, if it's about basketball, it's UNC, and the other three are such a distance from what UNC brings in basketball. Right. It almost is irrelevant. And UVA had its moment, and FSU has had its moments too, and Clemson has had its moments, but no one's even in the same stratosphere of what UNC does.
Very, very.
Maybe that's changed a little bit. Maybe they started extrapolating what the value of media deals will be post the Big East basketball conference, and maybe the percentages change a little bit in the theoretical next round. But yeah, Florida State and Clemson, those are the ones that are going to give you the exciting matchups on Saturdays for the fall.
Moen?
Devil's advocate, I'm going to say UNC and UVA.
Why?
I say that for selfish reasons because I think Notre Dame, if those four schools leave the ACC, I think Notre Dame looks for a home. And I think Notre Dame finds UNC and UVA more attractive.
And why is that? We've talked about that for a while, but the reasoning hasn't always been made clear. Can you explain why that makes a difference to Notre Dame to have UNC versus anybody else?
Huge research, high education standards. UVA has a massive endowment. They are the gateway to the politics of Washington, D.C. So most of their students matriculate right into government work in D.C. as lobbyists and everything else. So, UNC and UVA have a lot of advantages that Florida State and Clemson don't. Whereas Florida State and Clemson have a lot of advantages that UNC and UVA don't. I mean, football brands are heads and tails above UNC and UVA, just massive brands. So, but I think if you ask the Big Ten presidents who they would want, they would probably say UNC and UVA.
I feel like we're getting into this Goldilocks moment of like, these things are too soft and these are too hard, and the presidents and the networks are going to try to figure out who's the just right. So start looking in the middle between the extremes.
Well, look, the one thing we know for a fact, basketball has not had it's not the major driver of realignment. We also know that we're in an interim period right now. I don't care. Any school from the ACC could come to the Big 12, and that would be a hooray for the Big 12. Obviously, I'm a Big 12 homer now. But we all need to keep our hard hats on because it's probably a parking space. They'll probably be here for the rest of this next term, and that ends in 2030, 2031, and then they'll probably move on. Right now, the Big and the SEC are both saying the same thing. Slow down, you're moved too fast, right? Just we need to take a beat to do any more of this realignment stuff. And you have those schools that feel like they need to be included right now that aren't. And that would be Florida State and Clemson. So anyway, I'm going to just put this out there to the world. All right, we're going to jump right into if then. And let's see. So I sent that live. So this is what I'm going to encourage everybody to do. We'll pick an if then statement. The three of us will discuss it. And then I'd like to take live comments from you guys, like right now. I will post the link, and I'm not missing a super chat. Okay. I'm going to post the link to join the show. Unfortunately, I don't have the phone number working quite yet, but I want you guys to come in and join us and actually answer some of these questions and tell us what you think. I'm tired of talking. Moen's tired of talking. I know Rock and Rand is. So I'm going to post the link right now. Feel free to join as soon as that goes out. All right, I'll start off. My very first if then. If Florida State and Clemson leave the ACC, is the ACC done? Is there enough value there to keep the ACC going? So we're going to assume they leave. That's the if. What's the then? Rock, what do you think?
I think the ACC is going to be Big 12. The ACC is not going to be Pac-12, right? There's going to be an existence of the ACC in some format, whether not at the valuations that it had the minute the Florida State and Clemson go, but the existence of that conference, even if it loses 8 members, I think will still exist. It's not going to completely melt down and be the next Washington State, Oregon State.
Well, but the Pac-12 is still around too.
Yes, but functionally, they're there for the moment. However it winds up eventually becoming, we'll have to see. But see, somebody's willing to get on the phone, so we have a potential guest.
We have. Let's see, FSU Brett. You don't have to go on camera if you don't want to, Brett. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine. How are y'all? Let me turn on the light.
Okay, that's great. All we see right now is black screen. So.
Okay, I thought I turned on the camera, but anyway.
Yeah, we don't need the camera. It's okay.
That's fine. The answer is yes.
Okay, and can you explain that?
Yeah, I mean. Okay.
No, go ahead. I said go ahead and explain it. What are you thinking?
Okay. The reason is what's the ACC? The ACC is closer to. I'm trying, but we're obviously on a big delay.
Okay. All right. I'll just wait for you then.
Okay. Here's the answer. Once FSU and Clemson leave, the ACC is no better than AAC or Conference USA. I mean, there'll be a whatever a G5 is.
Okay. Moen, do you want to ask Brett any questions?
I would say that they still have a few more valuable things to be AAC. I think once North Carolina leaves, I think that's kind of the linchpin, which I think Florida State and Clemson leaving is the catalyst to that. I think once Florida State and Clemson leave, North Carolina has to leave. I don't think they can stay.
Yeah. Functionally, I would disagree for the moment. Not necessarily that he's not eventually right, but let's just take off. If that happened today, like right now, Florida State and Clemson are gone. Nobody else is gone. But let's even say North Carolina, all 3 of them are gone. If you look at the preseason top 25, the ACC would still have 3 consensus top 25 schools in that ranking right now, which would not match up to the AAC. So it's not going to go that same place. If you go a little bit deeper, maybe in a future season, that would be the only pushback. Not that it's not inevitable. You'd be losing your 2 strongest brands, but just looking at the conferences, AAC to ACC today, heading into the 2024 football season, that wouldn't necessarily ring true to me.
What do you think about that, Brett?
I think it sounds good, and I think we're all right now. I was getting ready to post. The problem was I was hearing a feedback from the streaming channel.
Oh, right.
I was hearing a feedback from the streaming channel and the YouTube channel. But I think you're right. But when FSU and Clemson leave, other folks are going to leave too. I mean, everybody else is going to see the handwriting on the wall, and I'm not sure who's going where. But as an FSU fan, I think the Sun Belt would be a wonderful place for Miami to go.
Of course you would. Of course you would.
Let me ask you a question, Brett.
It's such a likely outcome.
It's not said seriously.
Where do you want FSU to go, Brett? Do you want them to go to the Big Ten, to the SEC? Where do you want them to go?
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I have one answer, and Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I have another answer, and I take Sunday off. But probably I would prefer the SEC because I would love to play Clemson, Georgia, Florida, Auburn, Alabama, and Tennessee every year.
Fantastic.
Hey, Brett, are you new to the show? We appreciate you being here.
I've watched y'all a couple of times. I've been in the chat room. I found you about, I guess, a month or so ago, and I try to catch it live, but don't always.
Well, we appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for coming. Make sure to give Wild Ute a shout out on Twitter. Are you on Twitter?
Yes, I'm on Twitter, but I don't use it much. I use YouTube.
Oh, that's okay then. Don't worry about it.
You're a wise man. You're a wise man.
I'm subscribed, and I always hit the thumbs up.
Well, we thank you very much. Yeah, that's really big. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Brett. Have a good night.
We enjoy y'all.
Winner.
Thank you. I love it. So let's do one more if then on Florida State, Clemson leaving. Let me post the link again. If they leave, then the ACC is gone. Let's see. Got to get onto my chat window here. Sorry, here's the link. Click that and join. You can join us live and answer the second half of that. I would just follow up on one thing, though. I think we could have qualified the question. I didn't want to. I like them open-ended. The ACC staying together as an entity, that's why I mentioned the Pac-12. I think that definitely could happen, right? But is it a power league? Is it an autonomous league?
Well, is it autonomous? Yes.
Sorry, power. Let's go
Is
to
it
power. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
It can't be. You would lose if you lost Florida State, Clemson. You're probably losing Miami. All jokes aside, you're losing North Carolina. You're probably going to lose North Carolina State because they're going to have to follow North Carolina. You're probably going to lose Virginia. You're probably going to lose Virginia Tech, Louisville, Pitt. I'm forgetting somebody here to the Big 12. So, I mean, even if you backfill, you're just going to be backfilling with G5 teams. So,
Somebody just joined and then hit the wrong button. Come back. I didn't catch your name.
I think it was Bob. That was Bob Swanger.
Was it Bob Swinger? Hey, Bob,
Yeah.
come in here. I'd love to hear from you. This live stuff, we really want to start doing more of this. And once we get the phone stuff working, which is my engineering part, we'll make that work. All right, Bob, if you want to come back, absolutely come back, and we'll talk about wherever you want to. I'm going to post the link again. I'm going to go to our second question.
And guys, you don't have to be on camera if you're camera shy. You can just stop the cam before you even join, and it'll you can just talk to us in voice.
All right, next one is if the Big 12 is able to pick up FSU, Clemson, and I would say or Miami and Louisville. We will have a private equity question coming in the future. Then the media deal jumps to $40 million. Rock, what do you think about that?
I think media deal jumps higher than that if you were to get Miami, Clemson, and let's say FSU, Clemson, and Miami. I think you jump higher than that. I think
at what number?
If you think that, Florida, let's just say Florida State and Clemson, Florida State could be valued at $65, $75 million, playoffs aside, right? Which would bring it higher.
Right.
Think of them getting like something like, let's just make it up. It's a Big Ten-ish number, right? And let's just say that's like $75 million plus the other stuff, but we'll just do the media rights deal, not the playoff portion.
Okay.
It's 75. If you say the other two are, 60 million, 50 million, then I think you're getting somewhere between 45 to 50 million is probably the number I would guess at.
So can we say 40 to 50?
Sure.
Okay, or is 40 too
I don't
low?
think it's out of the question that it could be higher. Like, I don't think it's out of the question that just doesn't create enough new leverage and matchups for those deals to get it north of 50. But if you wanted to be safe, I think you're like 40 to 50.
I have a follow-up to this we'll do in just a second. Moen, what do you think about that?
This is the new media deal in 2030.
Right.
Whatever. Okay.
Well, no, not necessarily. Yormark has in the deal when they can renegotiate the number. They can join at the minimum 32, but there's nothing to say. And Bob said this. Bob Thompson told us this. There's nothing to say they couldn't renegotiate the deal when you bring in these maybe bigger brands.
For the other schools, I don't know that they're going to get to 40 million. I think if you're bringing in an FSU, a Clemson, or a Miami, you're going to have unequal revenue sharing. So I think those schools might be 40, 50, 60 million, but I think the rest of the Big 12 schools would still be at that 31.6.
So I posted the link a couple times, everybody. If you want to comment on this, feel free to hit that thing and come on and chat with us a little bit. Like Moen said, you don't have to turn your camera on. In my opinion, 40 million is low, and I do think it's for the whole conference. There might be disproportionate revenue sharing to give to some of those schools that could be possibly negotiated in. But I think at the bare minimum, I think every school would jump up to 40 minimum. And depending, if they got all four of those, let's just assume they go from 16 to 20 and they get all 4 of those schools, then you could be somewhere where they're, I don't know, 50, 55. I could see that. I don't think that's out of the realm of reason. All right. Well, then let's do some comments here. Let's go to Sam, 891SK. You would have 3 tiers of money in this new Big 12. Floor would be at what it is today. 3 tiers. I can see 2. I don't know 3. What do you guys think about that?
Maybe paying Kansas more for their basketball. I don't see 3 tiers. I'd see 2 tiers.
Okay. Rock, what
Yeah.
Floor and ceiling.
Yes, I think you have to deal with the realities of trying to attract the schools that you're talking about at the tiers that they might be looking for, and addressing, their concerns about, who's investing what into the programs relatively. But I think if you make it also too complicated for each conference and really separating people out that way, I think it's a little bit dangerous for the future.
Well, we already know disproportionate revenue sharing is in the world, right? That glass ceiling has been broken. So the chance that they could give people different amounts of money, I think that might become the rule. Think of a Big Ten where Indiana makes 2/3 of what Ohio State makes. Instead of blowing the conference up, I definitely could see disproportionate revenue sharing. At least, certainly, if Notre Dame joined, I think at that point they could break into multiple tiers. Might be more than 3. Might be performance based. There's all kinds of things they can do with money.
Yeah, I mean, the performance-based thing, I think, is the one that you could make easier to create like a theoretical 3rd tier. That's the one thing the ACC has tried to do and is implementing going forward for however long it stays together, so that you could see maybe a couple of tiers in the Big 12 in your if-then scenario, plus a performance-based incentive and not just equal distribution of those kind of revenues.
I think that's very fair. I think that's a good assessment, and everybody just needs to get out of their head that it has to be one way. COVID broke the system. You had conferences that didn't play football and that decided they didn't want to be left out and played football. The system that everybody's equal died the day COVID hit college football. So since that time, I think everything's been disproportionate. If it's not in money from a media deal, it might be in coverage. It might be how much time you see USC on a commercial versus how many times do you see Indiana or Wisconsin, or anybody. You could put anybody in there, right? So I think we're already seeing it. It just might be now that we're actually realizing it.
Yeah, you just want to avoid, you're maybe not going to get the NFL level of at the conference or the league where everything is equally distributed, and then there's some localization just based off of merch or just how much you can afford from a ticket sale. But you don't want it to be the Major League Baseball disparity either, right, within your league or conference.
And that's where I think they need a salary cap. There's a maximum they can pay to a quarterback. A 5-star quarterback, the max you can give them is $4 million. There needs to be some ceiling. And then once you build that ceiling, we already know $22 million is the minimum to buy in, essentially. By the way, I don't know if you guys caught that. Utah State has come out and said they're going to pay the $22 million. So
what, in lawsuits or in revenue share?
Yeah, let's not talk about the sexual harassment stuff. I'm talking about the revenue share. They're going to pay the $22 million. If that's the floor. So that's a state school that you wouldn't think of would have that kind of money. So
it's interesting to see who, all the hemming and hawing, but using your example, if they are, and I don't know anything about the economic profile and state funding of that school,
right.
I'm flying blind. I should defer, but to your point, not a school that would instantly jump off as a casual observer. So, before everybody starts crying for all of the universities, not some of them, that's a great example of, a little bit of potential crocodile tears out there.
Yeah, I completely agree. Let's get a couple more answers. Mr. Ed Wayner says, if FSU, Clemson, Miami, Louisville join the Big 12, FSU, Clemson join the Big 12. Sorry, did I read that wrong? Oh, you said it twice. They could get $70 million each. Miami $50 million, and everyone else $40 million. I don't think it's that much. I don't think that disparity. The only two I think that would warrant even 60 million plus would be Florida State and Clemson. I don't think the others, just by looking at the media numbers, I don't think the others would justify it. But I could be totally wrong. We're all flying blind here.
It also depends upon when that theoretical if-then deal happens, right?
Right.
We looked at we talked, we've looked at Utes numbers on the ratings and everything, and we've seen floors for Miami not being great. We've seen ceilings for others, and depending upon let's say Miami and Clemson have amazing years this year, and they approach FSU's ratings, and then they go into a negotiation. Yeah, they're not probably going to get the same thing that Florida State got in your if-then scenario, but it may not be as much of a gap if the audiences, because somebody had a better year than others, performed as they go into a negotiation.
All right. Any other comments? I'm not looking at them live. I don't know if you guys have any others that you want me to grab. Let me check the ones you've commented on. Let's see here. Oh, Daniel Gygax says his phone won't let him join StreamYard late. I'm sorry about that, Daniel. We'll get the phone thing working. I promise. We'll work on it. I was going to ask, how far is the ACC going to take the lawsuit? Will it be a SCOTUS decision? My answer is, I think Florida State and Clemson are in it for the long haul. So I don't think it's even up to ESPN and the ACC. I think they're going to sit it out. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I don't think the SCOTUS is even going to hear it. They'll just send it back to the lower court.
Yeah, I don't know that it will get that far either. On the one hand, I think you're right that there are for the long haul to get the result that they need.
Right.
But that's all really to try to make sure that a fast track option happens within, a settlement or something else happening. So they don't have to even worry about what the Supreme Court would or wouldn't do.
I think that's very fair. Let me post the link so this is the last call. We're talking about those 4 schools. If they join the Big 12, what does that media valuation go to? Click that link. I just put in the live comment section. Hopefully you can join. If we're having technical difficulties, I will work on getting the phone part of it working, but that's where we're at with that. If then one more answer from the gallery from Illini Ted. If North Carolina stays, the ACC can survive, but if they bolt as a result of the ACC is gone, at least it's anything but a G5 refill. Thoughts?
Yeah, that's probably correct if North Carolina stays. But it's not going to be a G5 refill because they've got autonomous 4. They're going to remain an autonomous conference, guys.
Yeah, so. But you can remain autonomous, but only make $20 million a school.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
go ahead,
if North Carolina stays, they'll be the 4 of the P4. They won't be a G5. They'll be, they'll definitely be a tier down on that level, at least in football. Maybe not in basketball, because you never know what they could do there to reconstitute some of the schools there. It's easier for them to fill in the gaps on the basketball side, but on the football side, which is where the dollars are, there'd be a massive gap still between them and the Big 12.
I appreciate it. I think that's right. All right, Illini Ted, thank you for your comment. I really appreciate it. Here's our next question. If you're just new to the channel, we've got almost 100 people watching. If we get to 100 people, Moen, let's do our special thing, can we?
We're going to give 5 memberships out, free memberships to the College Football Mafia family.
That's right. We give away 5
viewers, guys. So tell your neighbors, tell your friends.
Tell your neighbors, tell your friends. If the Big 12 is able to pick up FSU, sorry, that was the wrong one. Let me go to my banner. If the Big 10 doesn't take anyone, then right now, then the SEC doesn't grow either.
False.
You disagree? Okay.
They have to expand. The Big 10 has just added the entire West Coast. They have to expand their footprint. They need to get into North Carolina. They need to get into Virginia. They need to possibly get into Kansas.
But maybe he can't get the presidents. Sankey can't get the presidents to be willing to pay for North Carolina State and Virginia Tech.
Well, Virginia Tech, we don't know about yet. North Carolina State,
iffy.
It's yes, the AG has said that, but there's been no ink really.
Right.
But the North Carolina thing has been, the Board of Governors is packed with North Carolina State alumni, so they're not going to let the Wolfpack backpack go easily. So it could be a situation where they take North Carolina State, Clemson, and Florida, protect the Southeast corridor, or they could take North Carolina State, Clemson, and Kansas, and the Big Ten gets Florida State. So, I mean, there's lots of options, but I think the SEC has to grow at this point. They need to respond to the Big Ten taking the West Coast.
Rock?
Yeah, and we don't know that, yes, the SEC supposedly has two, full share schools they can add, and let's just call it North Carolina and Virginia, but that doesn't mean that between them and ESPN, they can't carve out another deal that brings in the respective backpacks at a 50% share and adjust the deal in some form. And then for each of the states, their blended rate is their schools are, at 75 million or whatever that number between a half share and a full share would be.
Okay.
And the circumstances of the lawsuits are already, possibly pushing through. The Big Ten doesn't do anything. Well, what happens if some agreement happens generally with the schools in the FSU, or some judgment happens way faster than we expect? It still can open the doors for UNC to be leaving.
Expedition Greg, join the show, would you please? I've been trying to get you on the show for a while anyway. I just poked the link on there. Join us for just a minute, because I know you always have really good comments and observations. I'd love to have you come in here and tell us what you're thinking. I see, as I'm tracking your comments, sorry, Big will not get shut out of the Southeast mowing. And then he says, I respectfully disagree. You don't have to come on camera, Greg. Just hit the button and join us for a minute.
If I have another cocktail, then I will get drunk. I just want to put that one out there.
All right, we are
think?
Oh, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I think
okay.
if then is okay with that. Yeah. Let's do a quick reset. We're an hour in. Boy, that went fast. We appreciate everybody being here. We're doing a new fun game show called If Then, trying to involve you guys as much as we can. Every time I post that StreamYard link in the comment section, it's a hyperlink. Just click on it. You should be able to join the show. And I'd love to hear kind of what your comments are on some of these questions that we're putting out.
And real quick, for everyone who doesn't know what StreamYard is, it's basically the way that Nate and the team host this show, and it plugs into YouTube, and that's how you see all the things, and we see all the chats. And if you're on your phone, you may be prompted to potentially download a guest app, and then you'd be able to get in right there. So you don't have to give away your life or anything like that if it's not working directly for you. That's essentially what that link does. Allows you to dial into the show.
And it's completely free. And as far as I know, StreamYard, it hasn't been hacked. So there's really no reasons not to join us anyway.
Right. And Nate's going to get the phones working soon. He promises.
It's because somebody needs to help me.
I sent you the links, brother.
I know. I couldn't make it work.
There's Greg.
Greg, Expedition Greg has joined the show. Can you hear us, Greg?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can.
We hear you, Greg.
Awesome.
So what do you think? We've had a few if-thens come through here. Tell us what you're thinking.
I think Florida State will get in the Big Ten.
Okay.
And I think whoever the travel partner is going to be a wild card. It could be Florida State, or it could be Miami, it could be Georgia Tech. I don't think it's Clemson, but the simple fact that the Big Ten doesn't really value Clemson as much as they do Florida State. And they're not really on the Big Ten one list from what I've heard.
So
who do you think would be the travel partner, Greg? You said Florida. You said Miami or Georgia
think
Tech?
It's Miami.
Okay.
It's a rivalry that the box people would want. It will bring eyeballs to big noon Saturday, big noon kickoff, and the Big Ten will get the state of Florida.
Okay, so he wants to lock down Florida with Florida State and Miami.
And that definitely could happen. There's no doubt about it. What about some of these concerns that we've heard recently in the news about Florida State maybe not playing nice with others over the past, 9 months?
I don't know. It's just everything I've seen with Alford going to Chicago, to that meeting at the restaurant, the O'Brien's in Chicago.
Right.
Every point, every hint I've heard points to that direction. I have if Florida State wanted to be in the SEC, they could have been back in 1991 instead of South Carolina.
Right. Right.
Because that was supposed to be Florida State's invitation to the SEC, not South Carolina. But
Bobby Bowden didn't want the competition.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is ironic now, right? Very ironic.
It worked out well for them. They won what? 2 national titles under the ACC banner.
They did.
So.
That's 2 or 3, right?
You might be right.
And this whole bring up the Josh Pate thing. This whole story about Josh Pate. I believe when he said that when we enter July, it's going to look different when we exit July. That very last week, I think we're going to hear something big. Because if history has shown the last few years, that's when the realignment news is going to hit.
Right.
Because they're going to want this to get out before the season starts.
Very smart. I appreciate it.
Fair enough.
Any other questions for us before we let you go?
No, not really. It's just it's nice to see you guys for the first time.
It's nice to see you too. Thank you for doing.
Nice
We'll
to
do
see you.
this, okay?
Hey, Greg.
Oh, most definitely. I.O.
There you go. Good to see you, Greg. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks a lot, Greg. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Greg.
Bomber.
We'll see you later.
Always good to see you, my friend.
All right. See you later.
Okay. You guys take care.
You too. Definitely. Clap. Thank you, Expedition Greg. Always fun on Twitter. If you need to find somebody to give you good articles, good links, and share some good information about college sports, Expedition Greg on Twitter. He's fantastic.
Yeah, AI got nothing over Greg.
That is true. Hey, Moen, what's this? This popped up in my
we
control panel.
hit 100. We hit 100, so we gifted 5 memberships. Antoine Codes, Adrian Rodriguez, Jaden, Jalen, Jermason. I hope I pronounced that right, brother. Congo and Jeff Woodworth, you were all gifted memberships by the College Football Mafia. Welcome to the family, guys. Just remember Omerta. Don't talk about what you see here.
That's right.
Don't snitch on anybody. And enjoy those private member videos. Wild Ute University, there's some Moen rants up there, just some timeline. If I drink any more, I'll probably have another Moen rant tonight. So
yeah.
We'll see.
Also, going along with that, we do encourage people to pay it forward. If you receive a membership from somebody, consider paying it forward and giving somebody else one. It's something we try to do to keep and encourage people coming back. Certainly, so you can check out those videos, and I'm going to show you what those videos look like right now in our library, so everybody knows where they can find them. Let's see here. So here's our main. Oh, I got to share it. There we go. Here's our main College Football Mafia page, and here's all our tabs, the different things. Membership is the last one on the list, but certainly not in importance. And these are all our members-only videos. Wild Ute University, Moen Rants, Timeline. Moen, tell everybody what Timeline is really quick.
Timeline is basically my what if, we take a pivotal moment in college football history and we say, what if? So, for example, the last video was Pacific Powerhouse. What if the Pac-12 had actually, or the Pac-10 had actually signed Texas, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State into the conference? Where would that have led them today? I think the Pac-12 would still be around today, and I think it'd be probably one of the more prominent conferences in college football.
Completely agree. Rock, do you want to add anything to that?
No, they're just some, there's a lot of work put into these things. And I think it's great that you guys have invested in the channel in a way that a lot of people who do membership tiers don't necessarily. So check them out, guys.
Yeah, that's one thing we don't take our fans and viewers for granted. We try to do as much as we can. Member-only videos, member-only live shows, obviously these things. So anyways, main page, home, membership, and you can watch any of these videos. And if you're curious, we manage everything right from this main page. Our homepage here is where a short list where you can find pretty much everything you're looking for. So I'll take that off there. There's no reason to show that anymore, but I want to make sure everybody knew where those things were and how they could get to them. All right, let me get to some more chats. I'm going to post the, I hate when it does that. Here's the link to join the show if you want to join us for a few minutes. I just put the link in the comment section. Feel free to join us. We really want to get more feedback from you guys, and we really care about your opinions. Before we go to our next if then, let me get to a few comments here. Keep chopping. Big 10 fan says Big 12, FSU and Louisville, Big 10, Notre Dame, Miami, SEC, UNC, Clemson. I can honestly say I've personally never seen that combination. What do you guys think about that one?
I like it. I like Notre Dame and Miami to the Big 10.
You're going to trigger a third of our audience with that one. It's definitely interesting. I feel like anything I said would be perceived as biased on that one.
Right. As a third party, it doesn't have I don't have a dog in the hunt at all, except for Big 12 getting better. I would love this. I mean, that would make my day. I'd celebrate and shoot off fireworks in the middle of July. Oh, wait, we already do that already. Anyway, Jason, how you doing? We're going rapid fire with guests, so I appreciate you coming on for a couple minutes. How you doing?
Good, guys. Good to jump in. I saw you guys have some kind of game show going on, so I just decided.
We do. We've been asking if then or making if then statement questions, and then basically having you fill in the blanks. Do you think it would happen or not happen? What was the likelihood of that result? Yeah. I'll give you my next one. If the SEC gets to 20 and the Big 10 gets to 20 and the Big 12 gets to 20, is realignment done this round, at least until 31?
Wow, that's a good question. I think, that we're talking 60 teams.
Yep, 60 teams.
And I think they probably would change the playoff format to no G5s maybe then.
I don't know. No, I think they're always going to have their foot in it, so they can feel like they have access. I don't think that. I think
they're moving away. It. I think maybe you guys are right. I'll have to.
Well, I could be wrong just as much as I could be right.
I feel like they're probably going to go to their own thing, but it won't be till after like 27 or whatever when they make the changes. But I do think that, I don't really see it changing a whole lot more. I could almost feel like, I think you guys have said a lot of times, I don't think that it's the end of the ACC if these other schools leave. I think you get 4 of them to leave. I don't think that the ACC goes anywhere. I think that because a lot of them, it's not really there's not a real incentive to go to the Big 12 unless now what I really think should happen is the Big 12 and the ACC should find a way to merge and do something that way. I don't know that that's really happening, but I think the best thing that you can possibly do is get as big as you can and have as many decent size programs that you can. Obviously, you're not going to get the big boys, the biggest of the big boys, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like to me the Big 10 or the SEC is super eager to expand right now. It just doesn't feel that way. Am I wrong? I don't know.
No, you bet. No problem. Rock, what do you think?
Well, I think that them saying that they're not super interested to expand means they're super interested to expand.
Right.
And then in terms of, I think if you're, if those conferences get to 60, I don't think realignment's over. It's over for them, those conferences, till 2030-ish, whenever those come up. But there's massive downstream realignment still as people fill in, right? So it's not upward. It's not that those 3 conferences go further until potential negotiated deal, and maybe Big 10 goes to 24 at that time, or whatever, right? Whatever might happen.
Right.
But ACC's got backfill to do, and that's gonna, everyone's gonna be eating. I think the thing that would happen is a conference that is in the theoretical G5 could potentially disappear as everybody else cannibalizes them.
It's quite possible. Moen, what do you think?
Yeah, I think for every reaction, there's a equal reaction. So
right.
For every action, there's an equal reaction. This has been tit for tat realignment. So I would imagine the SEC, I know they say we're not going to expand. Yeah, they are. They have to.
They're going to have to, but at some point.
Yeah. So I think the ACC will remain as long as SMU's a member. They can finance everything. Let them finance the expansion of the ACC to backfill with. And by the way, I just checked Hayes Fawcett. SMU got another 4-star.
I'm telling you.
Away from Texas A&M and Kansas State. So
I'm telling you, guys, it's coming.
You think SMU isn't a real deal? You're crazy because they could join the ACC for free because they have more money than they need by a lot.
Didn't we already know that though, Jason? I think everybody knew once they got their foot in the door.
Known that.
Yes.
You should have. If you didn't, you're crazy. Cody was talking about it, acting like they're a poverty program and it's going to kill them or something.
No,
I'm like, do you really? Don't you see what's happening here? You just gave them a freaking ticket to the dance. You screwed up. You know what I mean? It's crazy talk.
We'll come back to SMU. Go ahead. You can finish it, Rock. Go ahead.
I was going to say the what if would be, what if SMU was the most important school that the ACC pulled in and not Stanford and Cal?
Right.
It's absolutely more important than Stanford and Cal. Absolutely more important than Stanford and Cal.
I would say this: you can get all the recruits you want until you string some seasons back to back that you can win consistently. Just getting. Well, but the competition hasn't been at all equal. Now you're getting 4 and 5 stars. You're turning around and playing schools in your conference that have 4 and 5 stars themselves. So it's a lot more even.
How many though? There's not that many 4 and 5.
Their schedule. They got a really good luck.
I'm saying they're ahead of schedule. I'm telling you, they're ahead of schedule. I'm not.
They got a good luck of the draw in their first ACC
they're
schedule.
Champions contenders. I'm not saying that they're necessarily going to go in there and all of a sudden win a natty, but I think that they definitely come in and they become a contender much faster than you're going to see Cal or Stanford become a contender in that league by a lot.
No, I don't think Stanford and Cal will ever be.
No, I don't even understand the move, to be honest with you. It didn't make a lot of sense.
They just wanted a home as a parking spot. They are still trying to get in the Big Ten. So
sure, yeah, which makes sense. I mean, it makes sense for them, either that or Ivy League.
Well, thanks for joining the show, Jason. It's great to see you. By the way, thank you for your service. And for those that don't know, Jason's a veteran. I very much appreciate that. Him and his family, the great sacrifices. And I just want you to know you were in my heart yesterday, brother.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate it.
I appreciate.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you joining. You bet. We'll see you later.
Thanks, Jason.
Right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jason.
Bye-bye. Let's get a clap out. That was fantastic. Jason is always on it. I forgot to do this. Jason. No, he's already left. I'll introduce his show. Jason Watkins, Hall of Fame College Football. Look him up on Twitter. It's JW_HOF. Or just look up Hall of Fame College Football on YouTube and you'll find his channel. Sorry, Jason, that's my fault. I forgot to let you rep your show. I apologize about that. That was
he does podcasts in the morning. So if you're ever looking for college football talk in the morning, definitely check him out.
Oh, and he's now even. I'll put this up there. He's put a new link up at college football. CFB-pod. There's another location for his stuff. So fantastic work. Oklahoma fan. Excited to move into the SEC, and I think they're going to have a good season this year.
Excited to move into the SEC. Excited to see Texas piss off everybody in the SEC,
which has already happened. By the way,
they did a good job yesterday.
Yes, they did. Yeah, did you guys see the Statue of Liberty one?
I did. I did, and I saw the fan reaction after that kid committed to Oregon because he was a lock for Texas. It was like 72% Texas, so they went apoplectic when he committed to Oregon. So,
thank you just for being here, Jason. We really appreciate it. He's also corrected me one more time and says YouTube is now CFB-pod, so he's changed his labeling there a little bit. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate it. We need to get together. I need to be on your show, and I need to get you on here. We'll be doing an SEC review or preview show. We'll have you on for that, and that'll be a good time talking about your school and everything else that's going on. Buckshot Kid, another OG member, says, "Oh, hey, at the College Football Mafia, Bomber, plug your merch."
I'm working on it. I'm working
no
on
one's
it.
Working
people.
on it.
I'm working on it. So
I'm working on making phones work.
I swear to God, you guys.
I
We're
want
not
to
all
make
as
sure
good
when
as
we
you
release.
are, Rock.
I want to make sure when we release merch, it's good merch from a quality supplier.
Well, listen,
I could go out there and do it as a company that just surprises people with DTG and they don't care how they look. I want to make sure if our fans are buying our merch, they're getting the highest quality.
Listen,
I used
sent
to be in the
Bomber.
merch game, so
I get that. I did send Bomber though some tin cans and string to get the phone line going. So
You did.
I don't know what's taking so long.
That's true. I did receive those in the mail. Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is too funny. All right, so let's reset. Let me put the link in there for anybody else who wants to join the show. Our next if-then statement. Please click on that link, guys. Thanks, Jason. Great day for America. When Texas loses in-state recruit, they sure they're sure they have. Yes, that's true. All right, reset. Oh, really quick. Let me take this down just so everybody can see all of our tags. If you want to join the show, that should be bigger. If you want to join the show, click on that link I just put in the comment section. Here you can see our names on the screen. Please follow us all on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. There we have 100 people watching. We should have 100 likes right now. And we appreciate everybody for being here. Make sure you turn on your notifications as well. All right, the next if-then. If the Big 12, SEC, and Big 10 all go to 20 teams, then realignment is done, and we'll just call it power. I agree with you. There will be downstream realignment. We're just talking about the power leagues right now. We'll keep ACC in there, but I don't think they're going to go to 20 teams. Maybe they will. But anyways, realignment is done until 2030-31. Those are the conferences I'm concerned about.
it depends on the teams. If the Big gets to 20 without Notre Dame, I think Notre Dame could join before 2030 and completely upset the apple cart, and Big could go to 24.
You still think their final destination is 24?
Yeah, I think the Big wants to get to 24. I think they want to be a national conference. In order to do that, they need to have 24 teams. They will cut them into 4 6-team divisions and go from there.
Okay. Rock, what do you think?
That sounds about right. And I know that our friend, Mr. Ed Wayner, would back up Moen's take in the comments there as well about Notre Dame being a potential 21st, but not necessarily. The question of when they would go to 24, I guess, could be a separate part. But Notre Dame can come in any time, right? So if they're not part of the 20.
Yeah, I'm not counting Notre Dame. It's an extra. Yeah. They could go to any conference anytime they wanted to.
Right. But let's say the Big Ten grabs Florida State and Miami. At that point, Notre Dame could say, hey, we want to come in and take Duke, Stanford, and Cal with us. There's your 4 teams from, or Duke, or
you'd have to have North Carolina.
Well, at that point, I'm thinking the SEC gets North Carolina and North Carolina State.
Okay. All right.
Because of Wolfpack backpack. So, I mean, Notre Dame could basically come in and call their 3 partners if they want. But 2 of them are going to have to be on the West Coast. So that's why I say Stanford and Cal.
Okay.
Notre Dame could be in the East Coast Conference, so you would need at least 1 school in the East Coast as well. So could be Duke, could be Georgia Tech, could be Virginia. Who knows?
My simple answer is outside of Notre Dame, as the conferences are currently constructed, I'm going to bring up Ed's comment here. As the conferences are currently constructed, I think 20 is the destination for all 3 of those leagues, in my opinion. And I do believe the ACC gets to 20, but that 20 will have 6 previous power schools, 14 G5 schools in it. You could end up with 4 conferences with 80. I could see also that happening, or lower, 76, anywhere for the ACC to keep autonomous ranking. I think they will, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to make anywhere near the money or anything else that these other leagues would have. So potentially you could have 4 leagues, 20 each. I think 24 is a way off yet, but that's where Moen and I disagree a little bit. I think it's going to take longer to get to 24. I like this idea of the Big Ten's taking a beat, right?
I think once Notre Dame joins, it's 24 immediately. I don't think there's any way.
Okay.
I no longer buy that Big Ten or anybody's taking a beat. The messages are coming from all different directions in so many different ways that, like, I don't know who knows what. Like, I think the Big Ten asking North Carolina and Notre Dame before they do anything first, that 100% makes total sense and has been sort of articulated repeatedly for a long time. But I'm not jumping on that train, because when things fall, they fall. And there's already things in motion that are potentially going to fall. So there's the what you want to do, and then there's what you will have to do.
You guys might both be right. I don't think it's just made up messaging that the SEC and the Big Ten. I don't think they wanted this to go as far as it has. That's why they wanted the Pac-12 to stick around longer. They wanted more time to make some of these decisions. So I don't know.
Right, but that baby's already, like the kid already came, right? Like he's already arrived. So you're having to deal with all the things that circle it, even if you wanted it to wait.
You're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just trying to explain what I was thinking with it is all.
No, totally makes sense as well, of course.
I'm going to put the make sure our join link is in here. I'm going to put it in our live comments. We're going to take a second ourselves and run through some of the comments that are in our comment section. And see where that takes us for a few minutes. So we've got a bunch that are marked. I'm going to jump for the ones you guys starred and work backwards. Jalen Jermiason. Wow. If that's your real name, that's pretty cool. I must admit.
Triple J for people like me who would trip over that.
There you go. And I believe a new member. Thank you for being here, Jaden. Stanford, but not Cal, should be in the Big Ten. Academics, media market, and money. Moen?
Got to find a 6 team on the West Coast. If the Big 12 takes that private equity money, those teams are going to be locked down for 12 to 14 years. The only thing that's really going to be available to you is Cal. So I see that 6-team Western Division being Oregon, Washington, Stanford, Cal, UCLA, USC.
Okay.
If it's not locked down, you could add Utah in there as a wild card. You could add Arizona State in there as a wild card. You add Utah just to piss off Nathan Bomber Brown.
There is no way in hell they're getting in over ASU. Or I would even put Colorado in there ahead of Utah. They can keep dreaming big. Everybody, listen to Kyle Whittingham. He hasn't done you wrong yet. Anything's possible. I think it's just a joke that people.
Salty Bomber is a good bomber.
It's stupid. You repeat things over and over again. People hope they just get in the back of their brain like a bug and don't ever leave. Oh yeah, I heard somewhere Utah should be in the Big Ten. That doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway. Utes not here, so he and I can't go back and forth. You guys need to be on a show when Ute and I go back at that. That's a lot of fun.
I watched it. I had to turn off. It was scary.
Yeah, Bomber threw a plate of spaghetti at the wall.
I did. It was a mess. That's true. Let's see here. Let's get to some more comments. Timothy Green, I just wanted to say to all three of you on the panel, add everyone in the chat I think we have a very knowledgeable fan base and very smart and educated panel guests. Thank you for all you do. Timothy Green, you're a stud. I will give you
Thank you. Yeah, you're right, Timothy. Chat is outstanding. Chat's the best part of the show. I think we got the best community on YouTube.
And I would argue that it's the most educated. Of all the shows I've seen, ours by far has the most educated viewers. I'm not saying that just, I don't normally say things just to get people's attention. I honestly believe that. Rock, you've been wanting to say something for a minute. Sorry I cut you off there.
Oh, no, not at all. I think Timothy's one of the great parts of the community, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Timothy. Another OG in the neighborhood. We appreciate it. Porter Osborne Jr. Is that a mugshot, Porter?
It looks like a police sketch.
Yeah, I love how it does look like a police sketch. I love how FSU fans think they can treat their current conference like crap, and then when they leave the conference, they will have their pick of where to go. How delusional. Rock.
Well, I think two things can be true. I can understand the sentiment of those who think that how they're handling things they may not be a big fan of, but at the same point, they've kind of been pushed for a long time. And at a certain point, you're going to reach your breaking point and need to make the moves that you need to make. I do think there is some merit in the, hey, you might not want to, when you still have to theoretically get voted in, send signals to the bottom third of a future conference that, that you think isn't worthy of what you're making, that they should be worried about how you might vote future down the line when you move into the same house. So I kind of understand both sides of that equation.
Moen?
Yeah, I mean, again, how they treat their conference, but how has the conference treated them? Conference has not treated those schools very well. They've not treated North Carolina very well. They've not treated Florida State very well. They've not treated Clemson very well. They've not treated Miami very well. So,
I mean, really, they haven't treated anyone very well, right?
Yeah.
If your job is to make sure that you've gotten the best deals for your conference, you don't ignore a vote that you needed to do to extend an option deal out without going back to your members. So even if you're a Wake Forest, that conference in some ways hasn't treated you well and with respect either.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think Florida State, last year was a train wreck. But on top of being undefeated and on top of thinking that they had an out last summer, we know for a fact there were really smart people that thought Florida State was going to be out August 2nd. So, and then they get shafted at the CFP. It's been a horror show for the last 12, 13 months. So I don't think there's anything that Florida State fans don't rightly deserve or they haven't earned. And I'm very empathetic to what they've been through.
Here's another one, Nate, on that same point, under the what if zone. And I don't think it means that all of the contention would have gone away. But
Right.
What if Jim Phillips did his damn job as a commissioner during the football playoffs lead up and was on every media channel like Greg Sankey was for Alabama?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Just that perfect example. Does it mean that they wouldn't still be trying to get out? Probably not. But maybe there's a different ground, a different level of trying to sort it out. Maybe you actually there's enough heat that prevents ESPN from doing what they did in that regard. So,
well, and you flip it around. Let's flip that around. What does it show you how ESPN looks at your league? That they didn't do that. They own the CFP. They could have put them in there on a platter, and they walked away from a conference that they do all the broadcasting for. What does that tell you about the value of that conference? We can't answer that, right? But it seems like it's a train wreck.
It tells you that FSU is right about
Absolutely.
how ASCC has handled their deals.
100% true. Absolutely true. Let's see here. Moen, did you want to follow up on that at all?
Yeah, the ACC is the redheaded stepchild of ESPN. They get
we know that for a fact.
treated poorly, and SEC gets treated fantastic.
Yeah. Did I already do this comment from Mr.
Yes.
P3 at 20? Okay, it wasn't taken off there. That's my fault. I didn't move it. All right, I will take two more comments, and then I'm going to get to the last if then, which I think is going to be the best of all of them. Mr. Jan Holk has joined the chat. Good to have you here, Jan, all the way from Slovenia. We really, really appreciate you, Jan. I'm waiting.
That was legitness. Yeah, it was. Huh?
Jan is legit. We appreciate you being here, Jan. He's all the way from Slovenia. We are an international show from Australia, all through Europe, all the way back to the United States. Nice to see Greg, always on every chat that talk about realignment. Yeah, I think he's talking about chat expedition, Greg, there, right?
Yep.
Want to make sure I got that right. And then we're going to do one more, this one right here. Bo Weevil says, a bit of history for you guys. More Americans died in 4 hours at Gettysburg than the entire D-Day invasion. D-Day invasion, actually, the numbers, except for on except on Omaha Beach, they were nothing like. They anticipated 20, 30,000 dead in a day, and I believe it was less than 10,000 across all three countries.
Yeah, you have to keep in mind, though, Gettysburg, it was Americans fighting Americans, so.
It's still brutal, though. Bloody.
It's still brutal.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to add anything to that, Rock?
No, I mean, as bad as medical was in 1945, it was certainly pretty terrible back in the 1860s too. So it's, you know, a little bit of apples and oranges, double casualties on each side. You know,
right?
I mean, a cut could kill you.
Yeah,
in
that's
1860.
True. Yeah, that's very, very true. All right, our last one, and then we're going to jump into Q&A, which is world famous, by the way. If the Big 12, Big 10, and SEC all go, oh wait, I already did that one. Sorry,
already did that one.
Where did it go? What the hell? It's like it didn't save. Ah, damn it. All right, I'll type it out again, but I'm just going to say it, and you guys can start talking about it. If the Big 12 takes private equity money and they take any combination of Florida State, Clemson, SMU, wow, Freudian slip, that's Miami or Louisville, is that a worthwhile investment to basically sell, you know, up to 20% of your value? Either one of you, I don't care.
Go ahead, Rock.
I'm not on the. I think if you're going to use private equity, that seems to be a wise thing. I don't think that using private equity is a smart. Like, if you've made a decision, that's a good way of doing it. I think it's a bad decision personally to get into the private equity zone, just to do that.
Okay, Moen,
I think you only get the private equity if you're assured certain teams. You don't.
Yeah,
go
I don't
on
think
private
they sign
equity.
right.
Yeah, I don't think you sign any documents hoping you get some teams. You need to have those teams locked down at the rate they're going to get paid, and they have to be the right teams for you to take private equity.
I completely
and
agree.
I think that's important because, honestly, the Big 12 is outside of the Power 2. If they can add huge brands and at least be thought of in the same context as, you know, the Power 2 is that they have a couple power teams, because honestly, they lost Texas and Oklahoma, which were their two power teams. If you can add two more power teams in like Florida State, Clemson, then I think you have to do it.
Rock, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I guess it just depends upon whether or not you think that those schools are a parking spot, right? Because if you're going to take all that equity and take 20% out, and then 5 years they're going to be gone, then was it worth it?
I think the idea would be to do it for a short term and turn around and pay the thing off, buy it back out. That would be my guess. I don't think they want them to be embedded for the next 20 or 30 years in the conference. I think the idea would be if it increases their media value X, they can take the profits and turn around and buy that equity back. But I'm not in the war.
Right. And remember, if they add Florida State and Clemson, they get an uptick in their playoff money.
Yeah, absolutely. All of it. All the basketball money, everything that goes through it. I'm going to post the link. You guys want to join the show? I know people care about this. I've just put the StreamYard link in again. Hopefully that will work for you. If it doesn't, definitely let us know in the chat. If a lot of people are would like to join by phone and can't. In fact, can we make that a poll question, Moen? If College Football Mafia supplied a phone line, would you be more apt to join the show? Because we really want people to be a part of the show. We want to be exactly opposite of what Ryan Willie talked about at the very beginning of the show, which is just sitting here to talk, right? We don't do that. And hopefully everybody knows that. Jalen, Jeremias.
From Triple J. Call him just Triple J, man.
Okay. FSU despises the SEC other than CFP fiasco. Yeah, it's true. Triple J. Yeah, we know that. But follow the money is what I would say to that. If they're going to pay 3 times what they're currently making by joining the SEC, I think they can walk away from a lot of those previous, situations they had with the ACC. All right, we're just going to keep doing comments. Antoine Codes in the house, one of our members, says Stanford has more money than SMU. If they ever decide to compete in football, they have the money to do it. That's kind of like saying BYU has all the money from the church. If they just put the money into football, they would be the best. And if the Catholic Church put all the money, these organizations don't do that, Antoine. There's
right.
a reason.
Keep in mind too, though, Stanford did lower their standards a bit.
They did. They've started changing.
So if they start lowering their standards, they could bring some quality football players to Stanford.
but it doesn't involve more of the endowment. That's my point, right?
Not the endowment, but I mean, they've
yeah.
got boosters too. They've got mega boosters who can
Right.
put a lot of money into that team.
Right. Rock, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, I think we could wake up one day and find out that Stanford is like going all in, or at least maybe not Ohio State, Alabama in, but far above where they're going, and they wouldn't even miss the money. It's a cultural thing. They just have to decide what they want to do, and maybe they decide they have to do that for the betterment of their other Olympic sports that have endowed chairs and endowed coaching, to keep them in a viable athletic way. And football's the way that you make sure that those sports that some boosters and donors really care about stay competitive in their respective areas.
I completely agree with you. Let me move to another comment here. Nathan Campbell has joined the chat. Good to have you here, Nathan. Bummer Mo and I have learned a lot from y'all about college realignment in the last year and a half. What's that comment do? What's he mean?
I don't know why he's bummed out. I think he's probably bummed out on my take of Florida State.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I thought maybe I'm going to say maybe just, auto-corrected bomber.
Maybe.
What did I say?
Well, no, but he could be saying Bomber and Mo, and I have learned a lot from y'all.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he might be.
That probably makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, Bummer instead of, or Bomber, whatever. I get what you're saying. I just want to tell every Clemson and Florida State fan, and we've got bunches of you. We respect you guys as school to the hilt. Nobody here is saying at all that you're going to, in any way, shape, or form, end up in the Big 12. We're just projecting and trying to figure out if this happens, then this will happen or could happen. And these are just ideas. At the end of the day, all three of us, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but all three of us think that both schools will end up in the SEC or the Big 10.
Yeah, I think they're Power 2 schools. They have to end up in the Power 2.
Same, never have thought differently.
Yeah, and all three of us have felt that way. Now, I have started talking on Twitter about options. I recently said, well, if ESPN wants to keep the whole party in their backyard, why would they let anybody leave the SEC that's a great brand? Just put them, move them to the SEC. So,
and I will say this: Miami falls in that same category. I think Miami is a Power 2 team. I don't think they wind up in the Big 12.
I think Miami's on the line, to be honest. They're a brand, and you guys know I love brands. But there was some other, not having a stadium on campus. There's some other things that I don't know. I could easily see if I was to give odds, I definitely think they end up in there. Probably 80% they go in the SEC or the Big 10. But I do think there's about a 20% chance. I don't know, Rock. What do you think about that?
I obviously don't want that to be the case. And again, it's not really about a Big 12 issue. It's more of just where Miami's competitive peers and recruiting markets are. I think the stadium issue is an issue, and in the scheme of everything means nothing. And shout out UCLA every time somebody wants to say that. Yes, we are so massively disappointed to play in a stadium where the college football playoff title games and Super Bowls are. It's dreadful. It's so bad. I hate those luxury suites and restaurants. They're horrible.
Right. I got you.
And plus, the reality is Miami is never getting a stadium on its physical campus ever. Maybe somewhere closer, and a lot of other maybes. But I just don't think in the 25 things that people are going to decide about who's going to what conference, that at the end of the day is going to be a deciding factor ultimately. But I think Florida State is more certain of where they're going to land in the P2 than Miami. For the reasons, just the general reasons, or maybe the last 20 years of projections. Right. But if you weigh in a lot of other stuff, I think all three, North Carolina, are all going to be fine ultimately. And a lot of schools will be fine if they wanted from the Big 12. Again, it's not a shot at the Big 12. It's more of just the realities of where you are physically and where your recruiting bases are and who you're competing against and what challenges that would present in a different world.
I think the Big 12. And again, I'm a recent member, so I can't speak for the Hateful Eight schools and all the fans. But I do believe there's a bit of a sea change in that before it was a lot of PTSD. Any statement that says you don't want to join the Big 12 meant a personal attack. You were attacking the Big 12. I think that's changed a little bit, at least at the higher end of the conference with schools and fans. I think everybody knows the realities, and they don't have to take those statements personally. That doesn't mean those statements aren't made personally by people. That could possibly be happening, but that's I think a little of that sort of scaredness is falling off. Everybody knows where the Big 12 is, and all they need is a couple big brands to join, and they'll be right back in the game. Ricky Tungate just has given a member, I believe a new member himself, gifted 1 College Football Mafia membership. How's that work, Moen?
Yeah, he gifted a membership to Rob Ellen. Rob Ellen has already thanked him in the chat. Thank you, Rob, for following that procedure, that protocol that's required. If anybody else feels so magnanimous, you can go to the little cash sign at the bottom of the chat window and select membership gifting and gift a membership of your own.
If you didn't hear that because of the sounder, the little dollar sign next to the comment section, that's where you'd hit it, and it gives you the options what you can do with your money. We really appreciate it, though. Thank you so much, Ricky. And thank you for being a new member. Make all new members, all the new members we've got. Make sure you go in tonight after the show and watch all of our university, Moen Rants, all the shows we have there for members. It's some good stuff, people. And if there's something else you think we should be doing, send us a note. Let us know on Twitter or send us something on YouTube. And we do take those suggestions and turn around and use them in ideas and shows. So. Anyway, thank you so much, Ricky. Minutes and out of here. So at this point, I've probably got 30 comments already flagged. So if your comment, and you wouldn't know because you're not going to see if I flagged them or not. If you want your comment to be talked about, make sure you make it a super chat. It'll pop up and we'll immediately get to it. I just don't want any expectation of somebody complain that, hey, my comment was there the whole time. Why didn't you read it? We just have so many, it's hard to get through them. Let's see here. We'll start with Rob Ellen, another Clemson fan. Good to have you, Rob. At Ricky Tungate, thank you. That was very cool. And Moen mentioned that, but saying thank you when you received a gifted membership is cool. If you receive a gifted membership, consider giving one to somebody else, paying it forward. I guarantee your day will be better. Clay Johansson says Stanford has $37 billion endowment, send $2 billion to their sports endowment. They could be in business. My point was, I don't think Stanford is going to take any of their educational money and put it into their athletics. Could they? Absolutely. They can do whatever they want with their money within reason. But I just don't think they're going to. If people are coming to them in the organization at Stanford saying, we want to be in this thing, we want to be P2, all these other things, they're going to turn around and put that onto the boosters. Okay, let's build it. Show us the money and we'll provide the services. I think that's where we are with Stanford. What do you guys think about that?
I think they would, and I think they would put some money towards athletics. I think they would, but I think it would mostly be Olympic athletics. So, but they might throw football. They might throw football in there too. You never know.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Did you do 5 more, Moen?
I did. We hit 125 viewers live. So.
Wow.
5 more to MGC Sooner, Nittany 89, Chris G, Laura Wellborn, and Larry the GM. You were all gifted memberships by the College Football Mafia. Consider paying that forward. You can also, after this show is over, immediately run over and watch all the members only videos that we have up there.
Feeling very generous tonight, Moen. Well done.
I did.
Hey, Rock, I'll go ahead and let you answer that. Go ahead.
I was clearing out some of the chat stuff, so I missed the question again. So apologies.
Oh, well, I can't remember what it was, so we'll just pass.
All good. I'm sure it was a brilliant answer.
It was Stanford endowment moving some to sports.
I don't think that school is not in a position to even have to worry about doing that. They can just make some calls and decide to invest, and they get it. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. They don't. They're not an either or. They're an and.
I agree with that. Yeah, call up a few of their technology grads and. Where Oregon State has one, he just happens to be like the richest guy on the face of the earth. Stanford probably has, I bet you, 30 or 40 billionaires, maybe more, they could call on to build up an athletic. I think what they want is I think the school wants to do this, but it's been so laissez-faire. The graduates haven't come back and done a bunch for the football and sports programs. And I think they're just, you guys want us to do it? Show us. Build that endowment for athletics up, and then I guarantee you they've already started to adjust the entrance things, right, Moen? That's what you brought up. They've already started tweaking how the players get money. So things are changing and at Stanford right now. Lee, another member, says Penn State is waiting on the settlement to be finalized so they can bring the NIL in-house instead of having a collective. What Lee's talking about is the new House settlement that still hasn't been ratified by a judge. Penn State boosters don't want to give to a collective. There's a lot. That's the way it is at BYU too, Lee. Yeah, a lot of concerns about tax liabilities. You know, how much of that can you write off your taxes, stuff like that? What's legal in your state? That's why I think NILs have been slow to go. What do you guys think about?
Well, going from the collective to the school isn't going to change whether an NIL donation is tax deductible or not. It's still a sponsorship deal for a player. So unless there's some new construct done, that mechanic of it shouldn't necessarily change. You know, it's the difference between a donation to the athletic department that enables you to get access to tickets, and if you're in any of the schools that have that happen, you know, right, you're sort of doing two different things at the same time. You have to do A to be able to get B seats B, but they're separated so that you can do the tax deductible portion and the non-tax deductible portion. I believe that same thing would apply to things paying for a name, image, likeness for that player.
Yeah, I think there was some stuff that I thought got cleared up a little bit about that, but it hasn't been ratified anyway, so we don't know until it's signed. Moen, am I wrong? I thought some of that.
I think the judge has to sign that within, I think they said the next 15 days.
Okay.
When the decision's going to be made if he's going to ratify it. But recently they had an objection from Houston Christian University, I want to say is the name of the school. It's some very small school that filed an objection against it. So we'll see.
And we talked to Bob Thompson on Tuesday night about that specifically, and the idea of doing some sort of a class action to sue to stop or at least challenge the House ruling very easily could happen. So everybody celebrated 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago when that was settled. Until it's signed, there's nothing to celebrate. So anyway, appreciate it, guys. Great comments. Let's see here. Clay Johansson, another comment. If you bring 4 schools, you can sell 2 more time slots, extra 18 games, but it would be tier 3 or 4 or tier 5 games. What is that worth? I don't know what Clay's saying there.
He's saying that if you expand to the Big 12 and you were able to bring in more schools, that, you know, in terms of your earlier question about what a media rights deal would be, that it's not just them. You're being able to have more time slots, right, that you could sell because you're having more games. And the flip side of that too is, in your tier 1 games, you're going to have, again, more premium matchups, which I think we're sort of factoring into what could the range of a new deal be for the Big 12 should that if then scenario happen.
And that was an earlier comment. It's true. Moen, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what teams you add. If you bring 4 schools, and there's some fantastic schools, it's not just about selling 2 more time slots. You're selling 4 more brands. So
matchups are different.
Yeah, if you add Pitt, you've got the backyard brawl back. If you add West Virginia Tech, you've got the Black Diamond Trophy back. So I mean, Louisville and Cincinnati, they already have a rivalry. The Keg of Nails, I believe, is what their rivalry is. So you build in these rivalries as being an every year game for their conference.
I would love Louisville in the Big 12. I'm looking forward to that. I think they're a perfect fit. Culturally, everything they do, basketball, it's just if that ends up happening, I think they'll stay for a long time. Tristram West says the big list: Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, Stanford, Duke, North Carolina, and Virginia. Is that your order there, Tristram? So you're saying they want Notre Dame, then Georgia Tech, then Stanford, then Duke, North Carolina, and Virginia, or is that order mixed up? What do you guys
think he's saying
that?
That's the list. That's a 6 to get to 24.
So those are the ones that they would use to get to 24. Okay. Rock, you want to add anything to that?
One of those schools has to go. I don't care which one, but one of them has to. There's another school missing from that list. So
you burn Georgia Tech to the ground, and then you'll have a school to do.
Well, Moen is going to wind up his night well because we've just mentioned Georgia Tech organically like 5 times in 30
That's
seconds.
true. That's right. Drinking game, Georgia Tech. We haven't really talked about Syracuse recently. Drinking game, go ahead and take a swig if you're over 21 and drink responsibly. Do not drive. Illini Ted says the realignment train keeps on rolling. You either get on board or get out the way. Yeah. When I said 20, 30, 31, 3 conferences go or 4 conferences go to 20, realignment settles down, I was in no way, shape, or form saying it was going to stop. I don't think it's ever going to stop until you get to a point where some sort of a super league is put together, whatever you want to call it. However they take care of the in my opinion, it's gonna all the conferences are gonna stay the same. They're just gonna elevate some brands that would enable promotion and relegation. I think that's starting to catch some people's attention, but we'll have to see. I don't know. Moen, you want to add anything to that, or Rock?
No.
Okay. Couple more comments, and I think we're going to get out of here. Expedition Greg, thanks for being on the show, by the way, Expedition Greg. Big 10 will get to 24. That's the end game right there.
I agree.
Okay. Moen agrees with you. That should make you feel good. And Triple J or J's, I would say Big 12 and ACC are both vulnerable to poaching. They always will be. I don't think that's going to change either.
I agree.
Yeah. Couple short ones. If Oregon State ends up in the ACC, that means Stanford, Cal are staying there too. I don't know about that.
If Notre Dame leaves, Stanford is not staying.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I agree.
Nothing is forever at this point, unless you have some ironclad Granta, right? Oh wait, sorry.
What do you mean? How about you do an alliance? Alliances work.
An alliance, just shake on it. It'll be great.
It'll all work out.
You might as well just go full on Mafia and do like the kiss of death, right? Like
you could, yeah. What is it? The card with the dot, whatever. Jen has joined the show. Jen, I appreciate you being here. We're glad to see you. I'm hating that we're getting you at the end of the show, but Jen's an all-star. If you're not following her on Twitter, and watching her all of our other activities on YouTube shows and other things, you're missing out. So I would suggest everybody follow her on Twitter and kind of track what she's doing. She also does some reality stuff, and also there's a show she does where it's all joking. What is that called?
The roast.
Yeah, roast. The roast
Renegade
show.
Roast.
Yeah, it does that on Mondays. Go ahead, Rock.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, even as long as you have a thick skin, you should watch the roast.
Yeah, I don't take any of that personally.
I can take it, so it's fine. It's basically like a bunch of roasts of random topics of the day and a 30-minute diatribe about Miami in some form.
Yeah, hey, you gotta have something to wake
up.
up.
I appreciate the hustle and the effort on that one.
She says, hey, love the show as usual. Jen's the best. Super fan, contributor, leader, just an absolute all-star. Thanks, Jen, for joining the show. We appreciate it. It was a good one. We did some if-then prognostication. So everybody, if you joined the show late, 150 people watching, we appreciate everybody for being here. I'll do one more comment and then, oh no, I already did that. I'm out of comments. All right. I am out of comments.
If you guys liked if-then, make sure you drop a comment in the comment section. We'll play it again some other time. Bomber promises he's going to work on the phone. I promise I'm going to work on merch. Rock and Rant promises he'll probably help us both.
That is true. That is true. He's an all-star. Jen's giving us hearts. Always the best. I appreciate everybody for being here tonight. We excuse you. It's on family vacation. That's number one. We appreciate everybody being here. Make sure you follow us all on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. On your way out, before you close the viewing window, make sure you give us a thumbs up and let us know how we did. Turn on your notifications. And last but not least, now is the time to do memberships, because I'll be reminded of them later so I can give you a shout out. But over the weekend, you can go and watch all those member videos. And one last time, I'm going to show everybody what that looks like. Bring it up so everybody can see it. Add this stage. Hit the membership icon right there. And here's all these member-only videos. They are fantastic. Make sure you leave comments. Send us messages on Twitter about how we do. And they are awesome. They're, in my opinion, they're the best members only stuff out there. I can't think of anything that's as good. The reason I get caught up in my head is I'm trying to come up with something I can say about somebody else's stuff, and I can't come up with anything that's better than what we do. So and make sure you consider joining. And other than that, I think, Rock, you have anything else to say on our way out?
No, just check out Mowing After Dark on Sunday.
Oh, are you guys doing a show Sunday night? Yay.
We're doing a show on Sunday night. I might have a special guest. I'm trying to nail it down. But I will let you know who that special guest is beforehand. So trying to nail it down.
Sorry. Mowing After Dark is Sunday. We have Big West Mafia Monday. We have Big 12 Mafia Tuesday. Wednesday's a wild card day. We may or may not do something next week. We're going to do a panel discussion, if then, with some people smarter than me. It's going to be a lot of fun. We skip Thursday unless news breaks, and then we're back again on Friday. We appreciate everybody for joining. One last comment from somebody that showed up late. I'm not sure what happened, why Jamie's late to the house, but hey, Jamie, great to see you. She says, Stanley Garthwaite, yep. And did you hear what the OU president said to Feinbaum and Sankey? We, Texas, OU, each had offers from different conferences, but we wanted to go together because of our relationship that we have with Texas. So there you go. That's Jamie in the house, gets the final comment. Jamie, we love you. Appreciate you. There we are. I'm chatting. Give me a shout out there. Thank you, Jamie. We appreciate you being a loyal member and an OG here in the house. It was a great show, Jamie. You need to rewind and watch the whole thing. You'll love it. All right, everybody. Moen, you want to say anything else on our way out?
Yeah, tune into Mowing After Dark on Sunday. Like I said, follow me on Twitter, and I'll let you know who that special guest is once I have it nailed down.
Perfect. And I'm going to tell everybody have a great weekend. Stay safe. If you've been drinking, do not drive. And look forward to seeing everybody Sunday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. Everybody have a great night. Stay out of trouble and peace out.